Welcome to the second round of the Le Mans Series 2008 in Italy, the Cathedral of Speed, for the 1,000 kilometres of Monza. Bright and breezy day, thank goodness. A little bit of morning dew and a big lockout for Peugeot and the diesels on the front row of the grid. A little bit of a scare in the warm-up, however, for Marc Genet and Nicolas Manassian in the number 7 car. Drive shaft problem for them meant a brief change and difficulties for plenty out there would be on this day as well. Something of a party atmosphere then as the second round about to get underway. Alan McNish and the Audis. Alan getting the first stint after Dindo Capello qualified the Audi R10 leading off row 2, and Alexander Premat and the Audi number 2 vehicle so sharing that row. Well, a quick look at this majestic circuit for you. The start-finish straight, and well, the Variante Rettifiglio, the first of the chicanes. Nice little jink, right and left into the Curva Grande, around into the Della Roggia, through Lesmos 1 and 2, and the Sergallo Ascari round Parabolica. Well, we were underway and racing out there, and well, it really was a strange one, to say the very least. During the warm-up, difficulties for Alan McNish's machine, having to come back to the pits, the Premat Rockefeller car, I should say. On the warm-up lap, difficulties for one of the Audis. And unfortunately for them, on the outlap, drawing to a halt the Premat Rockefeller machine. Fuel pressure difficulties, it seemed, and it was the diesel injectors that were causing problems. Big difficulties, of course, in qualification for Jamie Campbell-Walter. No 14 car. Stuart Hall having to transfer to the 15 creation outfit, along with Robbie Kerr and Bruce Wanek. So our look at this magnificent circuit. It's been such a feature of racing for such a long time. Starting at the back of the field on this day, due to temperatures within the vehicles just being too high above ambient. The GT1 car of Stefan Dumas, Blanchemain and Berville, the Corvette of Luc Alphonse Adventures, 36 Celsius above ambient temperature, and the Sunro Spiker Squadron machine, Peter Dumbreck amongst others, Ralph Kellners as well, right plumb at the back. So difficulties there were, not for Peugeot, at least not at the start, but Audi having one of its cars starting from the pit lane. Something of a difficult one then for them. So Mike Rockefeller having to stop on the way to the starting grid, pull back into the pits. His difficulties only just beginning, but just look at the way the Peugeots suddenly stretch their legs. Clearly the quicker of the vehicles out there today, and it was right from the very, very start that they looked just so dominant. Aston Martin keeping them all honest, the best qualified of the petrol cars, the Charouz Racing machine with Stefan Muku qualified it also on board, and putting real pressure on the Capello McNish car just ahead of them. Well, finally, after the cars had gone by, Mike Rockefeller was able to join proceedings. A lot of traffic ahead, and well, a difficult pick through for Mike, you would have thought. Long way to go, though. 172 laps. Provided it wasn't timed out, of course, after 6 hours, but a long road ahead, and you could see just how quick the Peugeots were. A couple of seconds per lap faster than the Audis out there. And the Audis, well, they decided to go for fuel strategy. They made a very slick-looking bodywork, getting rid of the louvers above the wheels, the Audis, and it did help them. They were able to extend their time on the track, and 4 laps longer before they had to come in compared to the Peugeots, but they were so quick out there, and it really looked very easy. Well, it wasn't long before the safety car was called out. Drawing to a halt meant that in a dangerous position, any overtaking car might not have had a good sight of that vehicle, and as a result, first safety car period was upon us. At the get-go, drama for Peugeot. They started racing each other. Not much competition out there, and well, that kind of locking up causing palpitations back at the Peugeot camp. What on earth were they doing? So just 22 minutes in, and well, Audis were in bother. Capello getting it very wrong indeed, and the safety car was back out after this Audi crash. Seems that there's been contact with Vanina X out there, and Wolfgang Ulrich was to have a few words with his former charge in the DTM. Lucky that that car didn't actually flip. Came very, very close to it. Managed to stay upright, thank goodness. Well, the Audi had pitted, so had the Aston Martin that was chasing so well. The Lola Aston Martin Charouz, they'd come in, but look at the debris out there. It was a mess.
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't seen what happened until now, so I can't give you any information. I just heard from Dindo that he was touched by somebody, but what happened afterwards I can't tell you. I just see that the car is really badly damaged, and it will take quite some time to make it work.
What time they took, and have to change the drive shaft and some suspension components. Capello rejoined after only 19 minutes, can you believe that? He was running around about 42nd spot out of a field. Curtailed this weekend because of a number of withdrawals, only 44 starting after Jamie Campbell-Walter's incident. Cracked vertebrae for Jamie incidentally, but it looks like he will be okay, but the season will certainly be affected quite badly out there. So the Peugeot team, 7 car, Marc Jenny and Nicolas Minassian into the pits and heading for the 1 hour mark, and 32 laps completed. The number 10 Charouz, Lola Aston Martin of Stefan Rucker and Jan Sarouz, fastest non-factory car out there, and looking handy. And also looking rather slow. Rolling its way back to the pits. Difficulties there were for not only the big boys, but some of the privateers as well, naturally enough. Picking their way through traffic. Peugeot were really, we thought, monstering it, but they had their own troubles. Marc Jenny and Nicolas Minassian's machine. In the warm-up, the French crew had drive shaft difficulties. And guess what? Same deal yet again. Well, they've been trying to get 5,500 kilometres on the engines and the drive system.
But we are
Didn't
going
quite
to
get
have
there.
a look on the car, but we think that we got a problem of drive shaft at the rear of the car. So we are going to have a look and to see what we can do.
So testing for super endurance ahead of Le Mans, the big one, of course, and well, the car's just not holding up quite so far. So it was battle back time for the Audis, and after the opening 2 hours, the favourites were cut in half. 1 Peugeot and 1 Audi back in the race, which left the number 2 Premat the only weapon for the German manufacturer out there. It was chase down time to step it up just a little bit. Lead LMP2 cars, the Markstein Motorsport machine in the hands of Jos Verstappen, doing some great work. But Peugeot leading Audi and Pescarolo Sports for now at the 2 hour mark, with Team Orica Mammoth chasing them down. Pescarolo Sports and Harold Premat also in the chase. Leading off the LMP2s, Team Essex of Elsgaard and Casper Elgaard and John Nielsen. And as far as the GTs were concerned, a little bit further back with Luke Alphon Adventures. It had all been going so well for the 34 car, the LMP2 class lead. Jos Verstappen dominating most of the weekend, looking very, very comfortable. And the former Formula One driver taking the class pole and led the early hours of the race. But in a field of 44 cars, there are dangers everywhere, and well, your nose can get taken off just about any time. It's the spiker that got into him, and he wasn't happy at all.
Somebody drove into me in the second chicane. A lot of cars, and I took it easy, but suddenly somebody hit me. I think he forgot to brake, I don't know, and so we had to repair the car. We lose a lot of time, and this is not good.
Well, the big winners were Team Essex, who took P1 within the class from Verstappen. had the win in the LMP2 class at the end of the day. Brilliant work by them. It really was beautifully contested, and it was the Solia Racing outfit coming home in second in the Pescarolo Judd. So the Porsche Aerospider doing its work yet again, but it was chased hard, and it wasn't a lockout by them, and we thought it might well be an LMP2. The Zytek of the Brazzi Epsilon machine, Juan Barazzi and Michael Verges making the podium and just edging out Johnny Kane and Joey Forrester in the other Embassy machine. A couple of Embassy cars represented this weekend. Super racing throughout. Luc Alfond Adventures in their Corvette 6R with Olivier Barretta and Guillaume Moreau and Patrice Godard. The GT1 had a tough battle between themselves and the Corvettes. Aston Martin's also featuring very, very heavily in GT1, and it was a fabulous, fabulous result for Thomas Enger and his Aston Martin crew, along with Antonio Garcia of Team Modena, that really were enjoying life out there. Just seconds behind the Corvette, the two teams battling right to the end of a very, very close race, and it was super right the way through the field. And it was the same deal as far as GT2s were concerned, although there was a bit of naughtiness towards the end, I have to report, and sad to have to say that. Luc Alfond Adventures enjoying life in GT1, but in GT2, bit of a controversy for the 76 car. It was declared the winner across the line, but later an airbox infringement means that they have had that win taken away from them, and it's Farnbacher Racing, in fact, that's taken the victory in GT2, with Lars Erik Nielsen, Richard Westbrook and Alan Simonsen handed that victory. So just an infringement of the rules in terms of, we believe, the air intake, but well, more clarification to follow on that one. Only just been decided late in the evening. So then it was all drama towards the end of this one. One Peugeot had its problems, one of the Audis, and all of a sudden it was the pit strategies that were a little bit wrong, I suppose. It was the long range of the Audis which seemed to have wrapped this one up. We were heading for a fantastic grand finale. It was Mike Rockenfeller with 25 minutes to go he and Alexander Premat sharing that car, and well, you can see the very, very smooth lines. None of the openings, the air intakes across the top of the wheel arches, keeping it nice and smooth, but just look how hard they were being pushed here. The Lamy machine all over the back of him, and it was a question of using others as a foil out there. Would they manage to get through? It was the eternal question, I'm afraid, and nobody could guess the answer. Great fighting for position as well. Further down the field, every single spot up for grabs, but laps were running out. 172 was to be the grand finale. Super action, and Peugeot looked to have wrapped it up. One of the Embassy cars was out there, and a local yellow was what was to cause the problem. That local yellow, and a pass was to pass past that yellow, if you see what I mean. Illegal overtaking manoeuvre was to be a huge story by the end of this day. More on that in a moment. Pescarolo Sport of Manuel Collard and Jean-Christophe Bouillon running in third place. That's a wonderful action, as well as Manuel Collard in the 16 machine, having a real look all over the back of the Harold Premat Pescarolo, dicing for position, causing a few heart flutters as well. Teammates not afraid to have a look at each other, especially when they're coming into traffic, and it's such a big mix out there. Beautiful swap over. Well, the Courage Orica Judd of Stefan Ortelli looking very, very warm out there. Final changeover as the hours started to tick by, and we were gradually approaching the final hour, and the slicing and dicing between the Audis and the Peugeots went on. The earlier action you saw between them was for just position 22. Well, some big moments out there, and well, the 16 car getting it very wrong, as you saw. All on his lonesome, getting the braking very wrong coming into traffic, and well, just getting into one of those blocks. Thankfully, as you can see, bouncing off the other vehicles out there, some of the dislodged units. Wasn't that serious. Well, there was to be some serious accidents out there, I can tell you, and well, some real heart-stopping moments for everybody involved. Well, Stuart Hall was under all kinds of pressure. It was a podium spot that he was gunning for, and under all kinds of pressure from Christophe Tanceau towards the end of the race. Battle for third place. Stuart Hall, of course, who did so well in Le Mans last year. The youngster really has taken to endurance racing. It's Martin Short that gave him his break, and well, he's just flourishing. When you're faced with a wall of lesser class cars, it really is hard to just find your way through. Space, very little of it available at Monza, at least of course in the pit lane, as we saw. Everyone comes in, it really is hectic out there. Open hands to the sky, and huge questions being asked of everybody. And the answers are coming through the chicanes. As you can see, Tanceau in the 17 car chasing down Stewart, who was holding his lines brilliantly out there. Hall not about to be outfoxed. Old head on young shoulders, perhaps. He was just doing his own thing out there, picking the finest racing line, and there was no way through, or apparently so. Super attempts, great battle between the pair of them. And Stewart just holding on to that line yet again and just saying, nope, there's no way through. There is a shortest way through here, and I know I can take it. And he did. Great work by him. Well, the lights full of blaze and was a little bit overcast. It actually got a little bit dark out there as well. Massive crash for Stefano Telli, and I can tell you this evening he's got a broken ankle, but they have isolated his back just for precaution's sake. Now look at this, losing it all on his lonesome. A back end suspension failure by the looks of things. And Alan McNish, incidentally, just missed by that flying vehicle, radioing back saying, call the medics, he's going to need it. Full view for McNish of that incident. For Telly, though, as we say, just a broken ankle. His back, though, has been isolated for precautionary sake. It really was a moment of drama. Look how close he was to Alan McNish. Unbelievable. We'll be back with how it all ended at Monza after this short break. Stay with us. And so it was that we came down to the wire. Unbelievable. 10 laps before the checkered flag, Audi and Peugeot side by side battling out for the win, and you just couldn't pick it between them. The Audi of Mike, in the hands of Mike Rockenfeller, and the Peugeot with Pedro Lamy, and they were really scrapping all the way. Now, there was a problem for one of the Embassy racing cars. We mentioned it earlier on, and it was Joey Foster that had to pull off the circuit. There was a local yellow at the time, but moving past one of the lesser class cars, unfortunately, by the Peugeot, meant that it was about to be issued with a drive-through penalty. As a result, it meant that Mike Rockenfeller in front was in a happier position. He could effectively let the Peugeot through, knowing that it still had to make a stop. But did he? No. They raced each other, and well, perhaps Audi should have just told him to let him go. There was contact between the two. Straight on there, that was a position that was going to have to be ceded. Mike Rockenfeller still racing it. No stop and go listed yet on the screens, but it was to come after moving past one of the lower category cars under that yellow. And once contact had been made between these two, it meant that the Audi in the hands of Mike Rockenfeller, maybe just a lack of experience perhaps, who knows. He shouldn't really have been racing at this point, knowing that the Peugeot had to pull off. Why race for position and get yourself into bother? Well, that's exactly what happened. Well, joy for the Audis, thinking that, yep, he says, Premat, why not? We've got to stop and go. But contact, minor contact, meant a puncture for the Audi. An absolute disaster. What on earth are they doing? The questions ringing out. Well, the Audi slowing, as you can see, and that puncture meant an unscheduled stop, and all of a sudden it had gone terribly wrong. Wolfgang Ulrich absolutely livid. There's a stop-go penalty for Peugeot, but still intact. Passed under yellow, maybe. But, well, you have to say it was possibly Rockenfeller's fault for racing on when he should have just let the Peugeot go. Well, another battle was raging as well between the Pescarolo Sport of Christophe Tanceau and Stuart Hall in the Creation AIM. And this for a podium place, and using some of the lesser cars as a perfect foil. It was Christophe Tanceau that broke the heart of Stuart Hall. Peugeot then coming home for victory, a checkered flag falling upon them, adding a second victory then in the Le Mans series so far, having won in Barcelona, adding Monza to the success list. The smiles told it all as far as Peugeot were concerned. As far as Audi were concerned, they were absolutely incandescent with rage. Team Essex taking it, the LMP2 class, ahead of the MontyMotorsport's machine and Horag Racing.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, with the pace car, we just refueled the car. We didn't have new tires, so I think Audi was faster, a bit faster the first few laps, and then I managed to catch him, and it was a nice fight.
A very tight moment at the end there, a bit of contact.
Yeah, it's true, it was a bit of contact, but that's racing. That's why I'm here.
Thanks very much, Pedro.
That is racing, that is why we're here, and what a race we had today. So Peugeot taking it right at the very death. It was absolutely fascinating. And, well, the Porsche Spiders and enjoying life as well. GT1, Aston Martin, superb victory for them. The Corvette outfit missing, of course, Luc Alphonse, who's busy with other duties at the moment in Rally Raid. Speak to Premat.
Yeah, for sure we are very disappointed because we had a puncture, because we had a collision with the Peugeot. But I think it's very unfair from Peugeot because they had they overtook us on the first chicane and they crossed. Then after 5 laps they realized that he was unable to let him pass, just to be in front, and I think it's very unfair. But the problem, okay, we had a puncture, but anyway, after that maybe the rules from SEO need to react because Peugeot touched us and we had a puncture, so I think it's not unfair from Peugeot and SEO. We are very disappointed about this because if not we could have won the race for Audi, so it's very shame, definitely.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Well, probably the biggest smile was from the Pescarolo Judd outfit, Christophe Tanceau finishing in 3rd place on the podium. Peugeot absolutely delighted. Audi, well, miffed. You can see it in their body language. Great lockout for the Porsche Spider in LMP2, taking the top 3 positions ahead of the Lola MG of Tommy Erdos and Mike Newton. The GT1 class, Antonio Garcia and Thomas Enger doing great things with the Aston Martin. Came out the box in Barcelona, it just looks terrific. and kind of bullying the Corvettes at their own game. The Corvettes finishing second and third in that class ahead of the Lamborghini Murcielago, which had its problems this weekend. As far as GT2 is concerned, you've heard about Richard Leitz and Raymond Nark. The IMSA Performance Matmut machine has been DQ'd, unfortunately, because of an airbox infringement. It means that the victory was taken by Farnbacher Racing, their Porsche. And of course, Farnbacher Racing 1 and 2 then in the class. Their Ferrari finishing second ahead of the JMB Racing of Ben Okotz and Stefan Daudi. That was Monza. What a day it turned out to be. The Le Mans Series, you'll be able to see highlights throughout the season here, and of course Le Mans live throughout. Thanks for your company this time. We'll see you next time, I hope. Bye-bye.